It's been a weird year at the movies.
Weird.
Still, some pretty great movies came out, but those aren't the movies we're talking about today. Here are my picks for the worst movies of 2023. Normally, I like to be the positive guy. I like to celebrate films. I'm too nice to a lot of movies, but every year there's those movies that bother me. And that's really where this list comes from. When I look back on the year and I go, what are the movies that just should have been better? Where you go, how did this happen? So I thought I'd do something a little bit different, and each film on this list will win an award for the way in which they uniquely aggravated me, for their unique thing that got them added on to this list. And let's get started with this. Number 10, The Marvels. If you're familiar with my channel at all, you know I love the MCU. I built this channel covering the MCU, and in the past, Marvel Studios knew how to develop scripts and recruit talent and bring them into their system and turn them into hit makers. When it came to this movie, they spent a tremendous amount of money on it, so the award for no excuses goes to The Marvels. There are no excuses for this movie to be released in the shape that it is currently in. And it just feels like Disney and Marvel Studios getting so greedy that they thought they could just crank out content, or their hubris told them that they couldn't fail, so they abandoned the principles and practices which generated quality blockbusters for 10 years straight. And so you get a movie that just feels entirely underdeveloped, reworked in post-production, but covered with a superficial layer of humor and fun to make it seem better than it actually is. But even the basic idea here is underdeveloped. Captain Marvel took out the sun of a planet, so their sun went out, their oceans dried out, and they don't have air. And people are still living there. Just right there you go, wait a minute. You can't live on a planet, you all die. And this has apparently been going on for years and years and years. So immediately that doesn't make any sense. And then from there, the plot is about the bad guy going and stealing the air from another planet, which is the actual plot to the movie Spaceballs. So they had this idea, and instead of developing it the way they developed scripts in the past, they microwaved it, cranked it through the machine, filmed it, thought they could fix it in post-production with rewrites and reshoots and re-editing the movie. And what you end up with is a movie that feels like entire chunks of the film are missing from it.
This is a mess. None of these storylines make any sense.
The tone jumps around like a middle schooler hopped up on bang and cocaine. If you were rooting for Nia DaCosta, a female-led movie in the MCU, you should be more frustrated than I am because they didn't give them a fair chance. They didn't give them the same development process that they gave to all of the movies in phases 1 through 3. Number 9, 65. Now, I went into this one pretty excited because it's Adam Driver battling dinosaurs from the writers of A Quiet Place. Sounds awesome to me. Very silly, but very awesome. And somehow it utterly failed to live up to any of that. So the award for wasted potential goes to 65. The actual premise for this movie is that Adam Driver is an alien from a different planet that crash lands on the Earth 65 million years ago, which hints at this entire other mythology that the movie does not explore at all. But by making him an alien from a different planet, it also means that the awe and wonder of a modern times person seeing dinosaurs is completely lost. The fact that we're on Earth 65 million years ago is utterly meaningless to the plot of the film, besides a third act twist, which you can see coming a mile away, or if you look up at the sky in the film. And because of that, it doesn't do anything interesting with either one of its premises. battling dinosaurs with ray guns or aliens in the past or anything like that. So it's just a totally generic get from point A to point B movie. The girl that Adam Driver is with can't talk to him, so you can't even have much camaraderie between the two characters. When the dinosaurs do attack, it frequently cuts away. So it doesn't do anything you expect it to do. It sets up ideas where you go, oh, that's interesting, and does nothing with them. So this movie wins the award for wasted potential.
It's just dumb.
There is a companion video to this over on my Patreon page with 10 more of my picks for the worst movies of 2023. Join at any level, as little as $2 per month, $21 per year. You can get all the exclusive videos, the companion videos. I do 2 weekly live streams, a Q&A and a box office show. For as little as $2 per month, $21 per year, you gain access to all of the exclusive videos, and there's hundreds of them, hundreds of live streams. Currently, I do 2 weekly live streams, and for $40 per month, you can actually do a monthly video chat with me, and we can talk movies way too much. Link is down below in the description if you want more of my picks for the worst of the year. Speaking of wasted potential, Rebel Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire, the PG-13 cut. I hate that this movie is on this list because I was so excited to see Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars. I actually hosted the Austin press screening for this movie. Right before it started, I was standing in front of a group of people saying how excited I was for this movie. So the award for biggest disappointment goes to Rebel Moon. Zack Snyder is a director I thoroughly enjoy, and this being kind of like his version of Star Wars or the Seven Samurai in space, all of that sounded great to me. Then I watched the movie, and as much imagination as he puts into the visuals and the use of slow-mo in the film, there's absolutely no creativity or inspiration in the script, the story, or the storytelling. It just borrows from all these other films and does a inferior version of them. It's Zack Snyder's sloppy cover of Star Wars, his sloppy cover of A Battle Beyond the Stars. But even beyond that, it just violates some basic storytelling principles like Chekhov's gun, where if you introduce a gun in the first act, you better fire it by the end of the third act. The whole plot of this movie is about recruiting these talented groups of people to battle off this tyrannical government. So it keeps showing you this guy can tame animals. This is a general. This lady has discount lightsabers. We get to the third act. Not one of those characters uses those skill sets. I am holding out hope that when we get the director's cut, which Zack Snyder has said is a totally different movie.
The director's cut of Rebel Moon is an alternative reality version. It's not an extended cut of this movie. It's almost like a different movie, it's almost a different universe.
I'm holding out hope that that one will be the movie that I wanted in the first place. But even on that point, I think a lot of us are just getting sick and tired of Zack Snyder director cuts. This feels like they're trying to release the Snyder cut. That is infuriating. It is bizarre. And I so wanted to love this movie, and I definitely did not. Number 7, Beau is Afraid. I know a lot of you love this movie. I know some of you have it in your top 10 of the year. Gotcha. Understand. I'll grant myself an award. The I Just Stepped on Your Toes award goes to Sean Chandler for his take on Beau is Afraid. As for me, when it comes to Beau is Afraid, this is the endurance test movie, so it wins the endurance test award for this year, where this was the toughest movie for me to sit through this entire year. And if you love this film, you have to know why it's not for everybody. You have to be able to watch the film and go, oh, a lot of people are not gonna like this fever dream of a film that has dream logic, that it's Ari Aster working through his own anxieties. It's a therapy session for him. And then there's a dick monster in the third act of the film. You have to know that. I mean, in the middle of it, there's a 20-minute rabbit trail where the character gets lost and we drift into this dream world, see an alternative life. And we get to the end of it. It's like, oh yeah, we're supposed to be doing something else here. Like, you have to know that this is not going to be a movie for everybody, but that's exactly why you love it. Because it is so different, because it is so weird and niche. They designed a film that's for a very specific person, and that's awesome that you loved it. This is so not on my wavelength. This is so not my thing in any way, shape, or form.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
And so, like, to me, I was lost. I didn't get anything out of it. I found very little of it funny outside of a few moments here and there, and it just kept going and going and going and going, and none of it connected with me on any sorts of level. So if I have to give my honest opinion, there is so much talent on display here in the production design, Ari Aster, Joaquin Phoenix, but all of it given to a type of film that is so utterly not for me. Number 6, Ghosted. The most overused phrase in movie reviews in 2023 was, "It felt written by AI." In a year with a lot of very generic and bland blockbusters, and where AI went very mainstream, naturally that phrase became very common. But if there's one movie that absolutely deserves that title, it's Ghosted. So the award for AI-generated movie goes to Ghosted. And I don't say that just because the movie was very generic, which of course it was. The director himself came out and said they designed the movie to match streaming viewing patterns. They optimized the film for the algorithm of their streaming service. So essentially they tried to reverse engineer film success. How do we manufacture the thing that people click on? And then how do we manufacture it in a way so people just stay on? And he talked about how the way people watch movies at the theater versus on streaming is totally different. To get someone to go see a movie at the theater, you have to get over some big, gigantic hurdles. You have to convince someone to leave their house, travel, buy a ticket, maybe buy popcorn and drinks, sit down. And if they've already invested that much into the movie, it takes a lot for them to leave. Therefore, they have the patience to sit through the setup to see a properly made film that's fully satisfying. Streaming is the opposite. People are laying on the couch, maybe eating dinner, and they're just streaming. It takes nothing to click on a movie. So movie stars and genres sell movies very easily. It's easy to get the click, but it's also easy to lose the click because there's no cost to it. You're just laying on your couch, super easy to just click away. So they're optimized to keep giving people that dopamine drip, to keep giving them that kick with a laugh, with an action beat, change of scenery, cutaway. It's designed for the TikTok generation. They're movies designed for people that are on their couch, on their phone, watching a movie, where they're kind of paying attention. It's just kind of a background movie. They're designed to be that way. And they're spending $200 million to make movies that people have in the background.
They kept asking me about the tax man.
They asked you about the tax man?
They think I am a tax man. You're the tax man.
Oh my God.
And Ghosted is the prime example of that. 2 hot celebrities, and just nothing interesting happens, nothing that demands anything of the audience, nothing creative, nothing clever, just algorithmically decided plot points, jokes, and everything. A film truly designed by AI.
Been having a strange reaction to this picture. I liked it while I was watching it, and as soon as it was over, it didn't mean anything to me. And as the days have gone on, it's meant even less, if that's possible.
Number 5, You People, a film with an enormous amount of talent in the cast, but feels like it was written by a screenwriter who's never left LA. So the Out of Touch Screenwriter Award goes to You People. And so it's a bit of a tried and true formula that movies have kind of done this for a while, where you take people of different racial backgrounds and they start dating and then they have to go meet the parents. Been making this movie for over 50 years now with varying degrees of success, some of them classics and some of them like You People, where it just feels very stale and contrived. And in the case of this one, just so LA focused, so niche to the nature of that city, even like the way they joke around about communities and stuff. If you don't have an active knowledge of LA and the different cities in the metropolitan area, you probably don't even know what's going on.
I don't think I've heard of a man ever who wanted to be in a relationship so badly besides Drake. I'm talking views Drake.
This is so niche, it's so specific, it's so odd, and just no real chemistry amongst the cast, so much so that they do like a CGI kiss in the movie. The two leads don't kiss at the end of the film. They had to like CGI their faces together, which is hilarious. So a movie that takes a tried and true classic formula, but it was done by an out-of-touch screenwriter that has spent way too much time in LA. Speaking of LA, I will actually be in LA next week, and I'm going to be doing a live video recording as well as a meet and greet January 5th, next Friday night. I'll have more details in the coming days, so be on the lookout for posts on my community tab, all of my social media telling you when, but it will be next Friday night, doing a couple of different video recordings. I'd love to have you there. I'd love to meet you. Number 4, Expendables 4. I hate that I have to put this one on this list. I love action movies, love throwback action movies, so I'm always rooting for the genre. And in fact, I know someone that worked on the film, and he was so excited about it, and I was so excited for him. So, David, I'm so sorry that I have to include this one on this list, but I have to be honest. And the big problem here is that it violates the entire idea of this franchise, is that it's supposed to be a throwback action franchise to the good old days of blowing up buildings, practical stunt work, actual fight choreography, and you get to this movie and everything was in front of a green screen, and really bad green screen at that. Has a $100 million budget and it looks so cheap. It looks so direct to video. So the money laundering award for the year goes to Expendables 4 because it makes absolutely no sense that a movie with a $100 million budget looks this dreadful. Like, there's even a shot in this movie where Stallone goes and visits Statham at his house. The door opens, and it has the most artificial looking backdrop behind Stallone. Like, even opening a front door, they can't even shoot that on a real location. Even that is this terrible green screen. The entire hook for the franchise is good old school action, not let's get a bunch of old men in front of green screens. That's a violation of the entire concept here to do that. The whole movie takes place on a ship, but they shot it in Bulgaria in a warehouse. I wanted to like it, but whatever went down with this movie, I don't know how it cost $100 million. It makes no sense because it looks dreadful.
Not impressed.
Number 3, Children of the Corn. Point of reference, I haven't seen any of the previous Children of the Corn movies, haven't read the Stephen King story. This was my introduction to the world of the Children of the Corn. And the day after I watched it, I struggled to remember what happened in the film. So the award for most forgettable film goes to Children of the Corn, where they get the director of Equilibrium, movie from about 20 years back, actually pretty cool, distinct action style to it, and somehow made a movie with absolutely nothing in it that sticks in your brain, that you want to remember. And the few things you do remember are like the jagged, jumbled storytelling, how it just hops between plot points. It's the sort of movie that, like, I was watching people's reviews just a couple days after I watched it and was like, oh yeah, there is a monster in the cornfield. Oh yeah, that did happen. Because I couldn't remember anything. It's just such a unbelievably dull film. 20 years ago, I saw this director's film, Equilibrium. Still remember all kinds of shots from it, plot points, lines, the action style. The day after, I couldn't remember anything. What on earth happened to this director? Like, did he just have like a good day in the office when he made Equilibrium and just lost it afterwards? As soon as I finished saying what happened to the director of Equilibrium, I remembered something really important for this particular list. He had another movie come out this year that he worked on. He wrote the script for Expendables 4. So the last 2 movies on this list came from the guy that 20 years ago gave us Equilibrium. Real quick before I give you my bottom 2, remember to share your picks down below in the comment section. As always, our lists are supposed to be different. Like, I really enjoyed The Flash for very personal reasons. A lot of you are going to have it in your worst of the year list, maybe your pick for the worst of the year. That's a great thing. We're supposed to have different experiences, different opinions. That's why having a conversation is fun, because we don't have the same thoughts. But on that same point, don't get too mad at me when I included one of your favorite films on my list for worst of the year. Our runner-up, The Exorcist Believer, and we'll cut right to the chase on this one. The award for insulting your own legacy goes to The Exorcist Believer. And I saw the film, and for the first little bit, it was kind of what I was expecting, a pretty generic possession setup. We get a lot of these movies every year, maybe a slightly slicker production. And then as it went along, I could not believe where they took this film. So they get Ellen Bernstein to return to be in the film. She openly stated she didn't want to do it and only agreed to do it because they made a generous donation to a charity which she believed in. They put her in the film and they literally give her a line of dialogue where she insults the priests that saved her daughter for being part of the patriarchy, which is like one of the most insane things has ever been put into a movie, where you're making a cheap reboot, remake, sequel thing to a classic film and you decide to insult the movie, insult the characters when in the plot, both of them died, so they kept her out to keep her alive because it was dangerous. And the screenwriter couldn't withhold his own agendas, his own thoughts, and he decides we've got to take down the patriarchy even when it makes absolutely no sense. And then you move into the third act, and the movie is so jaded, cynical, and angry at the wrong places and at its own legacy that it won't allow the Catholic Church to have a win. So then the Catholic priest is a coward. They do this Exorcist Avengers thing where they bring all these people from different religions. Just such a gross, cynical continuation of the franchise.
A movie like this is a crime.
And the mistakes you made that got it on this list were the ones that are easy to not make. Don't insult the original film. Don't squish in ridiculous agenda into your movie, especially when it makes no sense at all. Don't bring back a 90-year-old woman just to utterly waste the character. There's no point in the script.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
There's no excuses. So like this one, maybe this one should win all of the awards because it just did so many unbelievable mistakes.
It stinks.
But the worst movie of the year, Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan puts out a boring film about science and Senate hearings.
He's kidding. Can't say things like that.
Sorry about that. I just need to make sure you were still paying attention. But the worst of the year, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Here, the creators of the film realized that Winnie the Pooh had gone into public domain, and they seized on the opportunity and decided to turn Winnie the Pooh into a slasher. So the award for best use of public domain to put a familiar skin on your bad movie goes to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Now, normally I don't like to include movies with a budget of $100,000 on a list like this, but they made it themselves an exception by choosing to exploit the public domain and copyright laws in order to be able to make a film that's a brand IP movie. And so the film is made ultra cheap, and then they did it as like a Phantom event. So tickets cost like over $20, and it made millions and millions of dollars. The idea of Winnie the Pooh as a slasher is kind of interesting and fun. The movie that they made is not interesting or fun or about Winnie the Pooh. Calling this a Winnie the Pooh movie is like saying that Fortnite is a Family Guy game because they put Peter Griffin in the game.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
No, it's not. It's Fortnite, and you can just look like character from Family Guy, and that's what this movie is. It has nothing to do with Winnie the Pooh. It has nothing to do with the wordplay, the wit, the characterizations. It's just a totally generic slasher with this very superficial and bad-looking Winnie the Pooh skin put on top of it.
Life is precious, life is short, and the idiots who made this film are taking 2 hours of my life and robbing it from me.
You did come up with one clever idea that exploited copyright. Bravo, you did it, and you get the win for that. The win is millions of dollars. That's a big win. Take your win. The creators of this got into like shouting matches on the internet with my buddy Cody Leach because he called out their movie for charging over $20 for a very cheap film. It's just such a cynical move to take the money that you got from exploiting copyright law and public domain, but not be able to accept the criticisms. You made a bad movie, so it is the worst movie of the year.
This is the worst.
Remember, there's the companion video over on Patreon. I will be in LA next weekend. That's February 5th, doing a live recording. Have more of these end of the year videos coming up over the next few days, including my live stream where I rank every movie that I saw this year. That'll be on January 1st. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.